Welcome back to the second part of our series on Ginza in Tokyo. The district is well known for its upscale retail scene, but also for its central location, which is just steps away from the city's most historic attractions and sophisticated neighborhoods. In this episode, we'll take you on a walking tour along the borders of Ginza and back. We'll start at one of Tokyo's most exciting urban renewal projects in neighboring Shodome, and onwards to its world-famous fish market, Tsukiji. On the northern border of Ginza, we'll explore the city's best ramen stalls in Tokyo Station and cross the tracks to Marunochi to visit the city's most exclusive boutiques and luxury hotels. All that plus a final look at some traditional shops and dining spots that have withstood the test of time in Ginza. So join us as we explore Ginza and its surrounding neighborhoods. I'm David Saldrana. This is Executive Class. The rise of Ginza and of the cherished tradition of Ginbura, that of strolling aimlessly across the streets of the area in the early 20th century, was hardly accidental. We owe this largely to early and effective urban planning and access to mass transport. The Ginza subway line, one of the first to be built in Tokyo, funneled shoppers and weekenders to the newly built department stores and restaurants of the area. Ginza was also next door to the old Shimbashi station in Shodome. A few steps from the former railway terminus was where Japanese arriving from the countryside had their first taste of Ginza's modern shops and Western distractions. The abandoned freight yard of Shodome was recently replaced by gleaming office buildings and high-rise luxury hotels. But its link to Ginza across is still one of its most important attractions. Rebuilt as a master-planned mixed-use urban community, access to Ginza via elevated footpaths has never been faster, easier, and safer. Shodome is a model of modern urban planning and regeneration. As you can see here, they have dedicated platforms for trains, for pedestrians, and for cars beneath. It manages traffic better and makes the city more livable. But that's not to say Shodome itself has little to offer the visitor, because a peek at the future of urban development is precisely its most compelling feature. Not all development, however, is welcome. Some of the older buildings in the area are being torn down, or there are plans to tear them down, and there's a big debate about that. That includes one of Ginza's most iconic buildings, the Nakagin Capsule Tower. Built like a stack of washing machines, the Capsule Hotel is alternately loved and loathed by locals. Bordering Ginza's southern end and only a few hundred meters away from Shodome is Tokyo's world-famous Tsukiji Market. If you can, the best time to visit the market is from dawn to early morning, when the lively tuna fish auction takes place, and the market is abuzz with activity. But even when it's closed, there's still a lot to explore in the stalls around the market. Most of the stands and restaurants offer seafood purchased in the market that same morning, so it's guaranteed fresh. Japanese oysters, especially from the south, are a gourmand's dream, and you can buy them by the piece here. Another popular treat here is tamagoyaki, sweetened pan or grilled fried eggs made by rolling thin layers of egg into bite-sized omelets. Though eggs have nothing to do with a fish market, people stand in line for a taste of this quintessentially Japanese delicacy that's cooked while you wait. Tsukiji Market was scheduled to move to another location a year ago, but health issues at the new site have delayed the transfer to 2018. So enjoy this landmark near Ginza while you can. With or without the fish market steps away, Tsukiji's sushi shops are determined to stay. After all, neither fires, earthquakes, or even World War II have forced Tama Sushi from moving out of Tsukiji. Established in 1924, the shop continues to serve its specialty for nearly a century: nigiri, hand-rolled sushi. One of the advantages of being in Ginza and so close to Tsukiji Market is that you can be sure you're getting the freshest fish possible. Now, I'm gonna tell the chef I'm going for the omakase, which means it's up to him to serve me what he thinks is the best ingredients he has right now. And this looks really fresh and good. Konnichiwa, chef. Seasonality is an important aspect of Japanese cuisine, and a master sushi chef will only insist on fish and seafood that's freshly caught and at the peak of its flavor and fattiness. They have 28 kinds of seafood to choose from, everything from the popular tuna, scallop, and shrimp to less familiar sushi like mantis prawn. Try to experiment with new sushi varieties if you can, because you'll probably only find it here in this part of Japan. It always surprises me that raw fish isn't appreciated by everyone. So if sushi isn't your thing, perhaps Japan's noodle dish, ramen, is. The good news is some of the most famous ramen shops in Japan have branches located in nearby Tokyo Station, just a short walk, and even shorter subway ride from Ginza. For extra convenience, the 8 specialty ramen shops were huddled together in an underground section of the station known as Ramen Street, each with their own signature flavors and unique house style. About 1.5 million people go through Tokyo Station every single day, most of them in a rush, stopping by to get a quick meal. And in Tokyo, one of the fastest meals to have and order is a bowl of ramen. And that explains why there's so many ramen shops at Tokyo Station. But ironically, they've become so popular, you now have to wait up to 30 minutes, even 50 minutes just to get a seat. But people do, they line up. Of the 8 shops, Rokurinsha, which specializes in tsukumen ramen, has the longest lines. But I can't think of any other country where people line up as patiently and respectfully of each other as they do in Japan. So it couldn't be all that bad waiting in line. If you're not willing to wait 50 to 30 minutes just to get a seat in that ramen shop, well, there are many other choices. In fact, number 2, Soranoiro Nippon, is quite a popular one. They're one of the only ramen shops that serve a vegetable ramen. And here's what, they actually have a Michelin star. And the line isn't too long. That's where I'm going. But first, you gotta get a ticket. Don't forget that, or you'll waste your time in line. Soranoiro also offers traditional pork-based tonkatsu ramen, but it's for the vegetarian ramen people come here for. There's a reason why ramen is so yummy. It's got a whole lot of pork in it. So if you want something healthier, you want to try the vegetarian version. It's vegetable soup stock with vegetables on it. It's not like they just removed the pork and added more vegetables to make it look healthy. Here, even the noodles are gluten-free. So, why do they call it ramen and not vegetable noodle soup? Well, actually, that's a good question. To get the full ramen experience, you want to try the paprika, you want to try the spices, and of course, garlic chips. That's what gives it more complexity. And so for 1,100 yen, which is the price of ramen in Tokyo anyway, you get a Michelin-starred experience. And best of all, a guiltless lunch. Guiltless too is the price of the meal, which means a chance to splurge at the high-end luxury shops waiting a few steps outside the station. Marunochi, west of Tokyo Station, was once a bland corporate part of town, but a recent makeover of Tokyo's premier office district has made it the city's unofficial luxury shopping capital. It's easy to compare Marunochi with Ginza. Both enjoy a grid street pattern that's easy to navigate. Both are easy to access by train. and both offer upscale retail. But here, Marunochi manages to outdo Ginza. Nakadori, which locals dub Tokyo's version of LA's Rodeo Drive, is lined with the boutiques of Japan's and the world's most exclusive brands. Perhaps the only affordable thing here is a cup of coffee, and even that is overpriced. The budget-conscious might want to breeze through Nakadori and walk east towards Ginza instead. But those looking to rest their heels after a day of shopping in Marunochi's boutiques should consider stopping by the Peninsula Tokyo at the end of the street, where the districts of Marunochi, Hibiya, and Ginza meet. If you're planning to spend a lot of time in Ginza shopping or dining, you'll want to book a hotel at the center. Unfortunately, there are no high-end luxury hotels there, but just a few steps away are some of the most luxurious and best hotels in Tokyo, such as the Peninsula, and this is what you can look forward to. It's simply one of the best private views you can get of the Imperial Palace grounds and of Hibiya Park in Tokyo. And that's just the view. The suites of the Peninsula also provide some of the most luxurious amounts of space and the highest standards of comfort available in the city. Even the standard rooms of the hotel are much larger than the suites you find elsewhere. Renowned Japanese designer Yukio Hashimoto uses rich earth tone colors, natural materials, and works by local artists and craftsmen to create an environment that's international in look but Japanese in spirit. And even if you're not staying here, high tea at the beautifully decorated lobby should be enough to inspire you. Or at the very least, drop by their coffee shop at the basement on your way back to Ginza via Hibiya Station. The Peninsula Boutique and Cafe can be accessed from one of the station's underground passageways, and the smell of their fresh brewed coffee and their baked cakes and breads should stop you on your tracks just before returning to Ginza. Coming up, we're back in the heart of Ginza to explore some of its oldest shops and dining spots. Yes, it's a vintage trip back in time when executive class returns after the break.